Hello, Election Watch Analysis here, and welcome back to our 2024 election prediction. Today, I actually have the nominees for the 2021 Virginia governor's race up against each other. I thought it'd be pretty cool to do this in a 2024 U.S. presidential election prediction, just because these two candidates are rather intriguing on their own, both with interesting qualifications. I will be making a 2021 Virginia governor race prediction in due time, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, after I'll do a short introduction for both candidates, make sure to watch to the end to see the results and the reasoning for each state. Anyway, Terry McAuliffe is a moderate Democrat, currently nominee for governor of Virginia in 2021. He was actually the governor of Virginia. As you can see here, he won back in 2013 by about 2.5%. But Virginia governors are not allowed to serve consecutive terms, so he, of course, had to retire and is now running again in 2021. Glenn Youngkin is a former CEO and Republican with enhanced support for the suburbs compared to someone like Donald Trump, for example. He is really running to Terry McAuliffe's right, of course, since Terry McAuliffe is a Democrat. Anyway, Youngkin is appealing a lot to the culture war issues like critical race theory and trying to win over a lot of suburban voters. Terry McAuliffe, of course, is a very establishment Democrat, while Glenn Youngkin is a mix between a populist Republican and more of a neoconservative. Anyway, let's get started with a prediction with Glenn Youngkin's safe states. Most of the Midwest would be safe, as always, and most of Nebraska, except for the 2nd District. Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and much of the South would also be safe, and I think South Carolina would just be around the safe margin. Of course, the rest of the maybe lower West, but you may call it, would be safe as well. For Terry McAuliffe, the Pacific Coast and the Eastern Coast would all be safe. Of course, New Jersey as well. New York, Maine's 1st District, Illinois, Hawaii, and I think Colorado would just be around the safe margin. And now we have Terry McAuliffe at 191 and Glenn Youngkin at 122, both all of their safe electoral votes. As you can see, McAuliffe has a lead as of now. Anyway, with Glenn Youngkin's safe states, many of the same from 2020, Iowa, Ohio, Maine's 2nd District, Alaska, and Texas would all be likely, in my opinion. Not much change here. In New Mexico, I think it'd be likely for Terry McAuliffe, Virginia as well, and I think that may be all for Terry McAuliffe. He still has a lead, but his lead, of course, has narrowed in electoral votes, 209 for McAuliffe, 189 for Youngkin. And now we get into some of the closer states. All the lean states are currently left. Of course, Maine at large, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Nebraska 2nd District, along with Nevada and Arizona. I'll start with the lean states that will go to a certain candidate by the biggest margin. So we'll start off with Glenn Youngkin. I think he'll win Florida by a similar margin to Donald Trump, and that is because he's a very strong candidate for the populist side, but he also has some appeal to the suburbs, so he would probably perform around the same as Donald Trump, maybe lose a little of that really hardcore America First vote, but still he win it nonetheless. I also think North Carolina would be lean for Glenn Youngkin. He would outperform Donald Trump's margin since Donald Trump, of course, lost support in the state in 2020 compared to 2012 and 2016. And for Terry McAuliffe, Minnesota would be around 4 or 5%. Same thing Nebraska's 2nd District. While Glenn Youngkin has better support than Trump in the suburbs, Terry McAuliffe is still one of the most moderate Democrats, very similar to Joe Biden, and since Nebraska is such a moderate district, I think that he would win it nonetheless. Maine at large would be likely lean as well. And I think that New Hampshire would also be lean. Terry McAuliffe definitely could have that northeastern appeal and appeal to a lot of those moderate voters. Glenn Youngkin doesn't have the same appeal as someone like Chris Sununu to win them over. Now we get into the closest states. Of course, the Rust Belt, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. A few Sunbelt states, actually, Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia. A total of 77 electoral votes. Currently, Glenn Youngkin has the electoral vote lead, 235 electoral votes, to Terry McAuliffe's 226. So let's start off going from east to west. Starting off with Pennsylvania. This is a pretty difficult state to decide. For example, the suburbs are definitely going to be pretty interesting, as while some of them are very, very blue, other ones, maybe a little further north of Philadelphia, are a little bit more swinging. Still, they're elastic voters. Many of them shifted to the left in 2020, but we'll have to see if they'll shift right in 2024 with someone like Glenn Youngkin on the Republican ticket. So I think they will Pennsylvania will narrowly go to Glenn Youngkin because he would have a lot of the suburban voters that abandoned Donald Trump come back to his campaign. Terry McAuliffe wouldn't have the same working class support or the home state appeal that Joe Biden did. Joe Biden didn't have a very big appeal to non-college educated voters, and Terry McAuliffe would have an even more reduced one since Glenn Youngkin could very much attack him on its connections to Hillary Clinton. A lot of non-college educated voters do not like Hillary Clinton. They did not vote for her in 2016, and those attack ads, while they are theoretical, would definitely stick on McAuliffe. Meanwhile, I think Michigan would go to Terry McAuliffe. He would do very well with a lot of the college-educated voters, the suburban, white, affluent voters. And while I was talking about the non-college educated voters, college-educated voters would definitely go for Terry McAuliffe, though some might switch to Glenn Youngkin because of his businessman experience, which appeals to them. But either way, I think Terry McAuliffe wins Michigan, and I think that he would actually potentially win Georgia. I'm actually still deciding that right now. Basically, if the way we break down Georgia is that a lot of the rural voters may not go for Glenn Youngkin the way they went for Donald Trump, and they may not turn out as they did, for example, in the 2021 Georgia runoffs. Terry McAuliffe could definitely take advantage of the very blue Atlanta metro area and turn out a lot of black voters, of whom he has a very big appeal to. So in the end, I'm going to give Georgia narrowly to Terry McAuliffe. Wisconsin, I think, will go to Glenn Youngkin. He'd outperform Donald Trump in the wild counties, and that would be enough for him to win. It all comes down to Nevada and Arizona, two very tough states. I'll start off in Nevada. I think that Terry McAuliffe would actually win it by a lean margin, just over 1.5%, and that brings in 263 electoral votes. Glenn Youngkin is one electoral vote ahead at 264. It would all come down to Arizona. Arizona could definitely be very close. Glenn Youngkin would essentially retain the Trump coalition, but the question is if he can really appeal to the Phoenix suburbs enough to tilt the state red. And in the end, I think that honestly, Glenn Youngkin could. Given how close Arizona was in 2020, as you can see here, it was a mere 0.3% for Joe Biden. And while it's trending to the left, Terry McAuliffe is a very establishment figure, and he definitely could have some attacks on him. For example, you look at Arizona in 2016. It did not vote for Hillary Clinton. And like I mentioned back in for Pennsylvania, a lot of non-college educated voters would not support Terry McAuliffe because of his connection to Hillary Clinton. But also a lot of suburban voters may have that distaste for the Clintons, and that would definitely affect Terry McAuliffe. This is all theoretical, of course. I could be going too far with the Clinton stuff. But in the end, I think Glenn Youngkin narrowly wins. Arizona could definitely go either way, as could many states like Pennsylvania. So this is the end of the video. Here's the final map. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like so more people can see it on YouTube. You can also leave a comment telling me what your prediction would be, any feedback or suggestions for other videos. Those would always be appreciated. On the left, you can see another video picked out by YouTube tailored to your interests. And on the right, you can check out my channel and subscribe. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.